Good morning, everybody. This is yet another episode of the Breakfast Burrito podcast. Just a little podcast by your hosts, JC Bradeen and
And Luis Bautista with our very, very special guest, Bea Chan. What's up, Bea?
Hi.
Okay,
it's
so
Bea.
yeah, cool. For our first topic is all about boyfriends because Bea has had some boyfriends before.
Plural. How about now, Bea? Do you have a boyfriend right now?
I thought we weren't going to mention any names.
You were in.
Oh, just asking. It
Yeah,
was
we're
a
just
yes or
asking.
no.
Oh, yeah. It's a yes or no.
Uh, sure.
Okay, there we
Oh,
go.
okay,
Sure.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're straight.
So,
Bea straight for anyone who's listening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sadly,
okay.
I'm straight.
Oh, that's sad. Same.
same.
Like, honestly, I look up to non-straight people because imagine like loving two kinds of sexes or more, and imagine how big a heart you could have. Like if you were bi, that means you could be attracted to 100% of the population, right? So
Possibly.
yeah, sometimes I think about that.
Possibly.
Possibly, yeah, possibly. But then yeah, we're straight, and Bey has a
Yeah.
boyfriend. She's taken.
Honestly, sometimes I look at guys and I look at women and I wonder why I'm attracted to guys when women look like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Speaking of women, JC, we like women,
Yes.
right?
Yes, we like them and we respect them as
We
much as we
respect
can.
them as much as we can, of course. But there have been some happenings recently of people not respecting women. Would you like to elaborate on that, Bea?
Yes, please.
Oh, so recently, different schools such as Miriam College, I think Marikina Science High School also, and of course our favorite school, Ateneo. Recently, some girls have tweeted about their experiences with teachers, with fellow classmates, with fellow schoolmates, just detailing the experiences that they've had dealing with sexism, sexual harassment, those awful things that we don't like talking about out in the open. But right now, it's all out there. And there are threads, there are lots of angry people. So that's what's going on right now.
Yes, it's a really heavy moment right now in the Twitter atmosphere. And there's one thing I learned: sexual harassment and other assault and others cases like that. Sometimes they really hurt the most because you never expect who you can get it from. Even the
Yeah.
person you trust most can
Yeah.
Yeah,
be
yeah.
can be victimized by them.
And then sometimes you don't realize what it is, or you don't realize that that harassment was what was done to you. You don't realize that it was assault pala until like years later, and then you look back and then you think, oh, maybe that's the uncomfortable feeling I had. And of course, since you only realized it years after, it just makes you feel bad that you weren't able to do anything in the moment because you didn't know enough.
Mhm.
And I've recognized, like, usually with the cases where that are happening now, there's either it's between a couple or a relation, oh no, a power dynamic between a superior and a student, for example. Because the first case, it's basically the the person, the other party says no, but the other party keeps enforcing something even if they don't really want it. That's the
Yeah.
second type is, yeah, the superior is like trying to groom the minor, or like the victim in that case, to be trying to groom them and trying to abuse their power as a superior, as a teacher.
Yeah.
And it's just really fucked up.
Really. And sometimes you don't even know it's grooming
Mm-hmm.
until like you actually learn about the term. I saw this TikTok I think the other day, and it was this girl making talking about her love life, how she met this guy when she was 14, and then the guy was I think
Yikes.
19,
Mm-hmm.
and then she was just bragging or flexing how I think they moved in together around
Oh,
I think a year later or a few months later, and now I guess they're married and they're legal age now. The girl's legal age now, but then it just feels weird that she's romanticizing the whole situation when in fact it can be considered as a case of grooming.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, she's 14. She probably doesn't know better. She probably thinks it's right
Yeah.
for someone older than her, much, much older than her, to be in a relationship with her. And I think that's such an it's such a common thing to happen for girls. Once they have the attention of an older man, they feel like they're a grown woman. They feel like they're more mature, and so they like it.
I didn't see
So
that
that's
perspective. I
yeah.
thought I thought the girls were just trying to be friendly and I didn't know how to act. Because I mean, if I was a group, if a superior, a teacher was talking to me and trying to be friendly, I would um see it as a friendly gesture and not as a grooming
Yeah.
way. But there's a new way to see it for me, and it could open my eyes.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not because they're they're just trying to be friendly. I feel like yeah, sometimes some girls really do like the attention. But then I mean, I'm not saying that attention is bad, but then to be seen as someone who's more mature for their age, a lot of us take it as a compliment,
Yeah.
especially since girls are expected to grow up a little faster, to
And
be more mature for their age.
their
Exactly.
puberty is earlier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think our puberty is earlier and it lasts shorter at that, I think, than like boys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
yeah. And it's also really embedded in our culture that the older you are, the more respect that you have to be, basically, the more you know about everything else. So it's really part of the manipulation that happens.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I actually have a problem about this. Like, I don't know how to talk about it, or I don't know. I just don't know how to talk about it because I feel like my background. Okay, I came from Ateneo High School, and yes, there has been
Same.
topics about it recently, like all
Same.
boys schools, that how all boys schools have been breeding ground for misogynistic ideals and brotherhood, that kind of stuff. And I mean, I try to grow from it, but then I will always still be a product of it. So coming from that point of view, I'm scared to also speak out about it because I feel like I'm on the other side of this issue. Because I'm an active I was actively in it in the institution and I'm a product of this culture. So like I don't know. I'm conflicted. Like does it invalidate my thoughts about the issue or something? So
I
my question is like how do I address my concerns about this, or how do I speak about this issue?
I think because I'm also a product of Ateneo High School, the growth and that stuff, and I also feel conflicted as much as you. But from my point of view, I see it as like a past where I recognize there were some really wrong things happening. Then after like the change in senior high, and I got to realize na, oh, this is really toxic things that should be happening. But I should acknowledge it, and I should grow from it and realize that there are more ways to deal with it and to just acknowledge it at least because you've grown from it,
Yeah.
right?
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Although I feel like it's important when for you to realize that if you're a product of something for more than 10 years, you have to give yourself some credit there. You can't unlearn that in 2 years.
Yeah.
You can't unlearn
Yeah.
that in something as short as 5 years. It takes a lot. It takes a long process to unlearn these things that are culturally embedded in us that have been taught to us maybe directly or indirectly, things that we got used to for so long. It's trauma that just builds up and stays there, and you can't just easily remove that from your system. But then, of course, just like in exercising demons, you have to call out its name. Um, I guess that means just acknowledging, as what Bao said, acknowledging that you are a product of the system. You may have things that you may need to work on, and just proactively trying to do better every single day,
Yeah.
and also making up for the mistakes that you did before. And I don't feel like it's invalid for you to speak about this right now, especially if you're sure that you're trying to grow, that you want other people to see that you've grown also. So I guess speaking up about it just shows others that you're willing to change.
To add to that,
Yes.
I think it's a really good way of saying a really good statement what Bea said about willing to change because that's what I've been trying to actively do because I've been a victim of the system because I've been bullied a lot and you could say that Ateneo High School grew me to be a really misogynistic person at one point because I once shared the mindset of those toxic Atenean values before because I recognize it and like, oh, I was like this before because I used to be in a fight club. I used to talk about
What?
women in
Okay.
such a degrading manner. But now that I recognize it and I've been actively trying to change and see that this was wrong. I should be better. I should and there's nothing wrong with asking for help. That's why you always have friends that they're to help you, right? So you should, you know, recognize there are people around you too. Women, empowered women.
Yeah. Well, thank you about that. Thank you for that. It means a lot. Pero grabe rin, nakakatakot din eh. Like, I didn't realize it only until last year or more than last year. Ganun na. The environment I was in, it was so toxic. It seemed as a normal back then, but if you think about it now, Jesus, they were like talking about women in such a degrading manner was just so normal.
I mean, it's all
And
boys.
yeah, yun nga eh. Oh God. So yeah, yun lang naman.
I mean,
I guess
Bea,
that was.
what did
Hmm?
you? How did you experience? Did you experience stuff like that? Because you were from a co-ed school, or was it yours? What was it? A different version for you?
You mean when I was in my co-ed school?
Yeah, before
Yes.
before the senior high.
I don't really remember. I don't think so. I don't think I experienced the kind of misogyny, the brand of misogyny from an all boys school when I was in co-ed. It's different. It's different when you see boys who are really brave enough to say to your face that you don't deserve to be in a place. And I thought that those things only happened in 1950s or I don't know, in households filled with boomers. But then to see people my age saying that to me, that kind of felt weird. Yeah, in a co-ed school, I guess um you can't you can't prevent people from being sexist. Actually, we would like to prevent that, but then sometimes people just grow up to be sexist. But in a co-ed school, I guess people get better at hiding it compared to an all-boys school when values like that, when acting like that is more acceptable or at least more tolerable in that environment. But then um I guess it's hard to excuse that kind of behavior still. It's hard to say that it's right because it's been happening for so long. So I guess whether it's a co-ed school or whether it's an all-boys school, it's still sexism, it's still misogyny, it's still structures that we have to bring down slowly day by day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, how about, have you heard of, apparently some of the faculty in Ateneo Senior High and Junior High are like, because they're like old, they're not progressive. They see things in a very close-minded manner, and I think it bothers a lot of people. I think it used to bother only the ones affected, but now that it's brought to light, it bothers a lot of people.
Yeah. I guess for people like that, it's easy to give the excuse that they are a product of their time. I hear that around a lot,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe this prof was a product of their time, and in their time, um, people were really blatantly sexist, they were racist, they were all those bad ists that we try not to be right now. And okay, maybe that's excusable to some extent.
Yeah.
But then you also see other teachers, other people who are old, who are willingly learning and relearning
Mm.
um, the things that were taught to them. They're trying to change and to be a product
It's good.
of this time instead of like a product of their time. And I guess it's not excusable for older members of the faculty to say that this is the kind of environment I was used to, this was what I was taught, therefore, this is what I will impose as right in this time that I'm in right now.
Yeah.
Have you had any encounters of such professors or instructors? 'Cause I think about it, but I really don't have. That's why I have nothing to say here. But it seems like you have, Bea. I mean, if you're comfortable talking about it.
Yeah, of course. I'm not going to say anyone specific, but yeah, unfortunately, I have had experience with an older teacher, an older faculty member who I believe didn't think girls should be easily accepted into the school.
Mm.
And it was kind of hard. It was kind of weird for me considering that I was, I think,
Going
the
to.
third batch of girls
Um,
in the school.
yeah.
And I was already accepted into the Ateneo.
I think you're
And
the
I was
second.
already, I think, okay. Anyway, so to have that kind of prof just tell me straight up that maybe I am super privileged, that I am not grateful enough for this chance at an Atenean education. Like, it's such a high privilege that only certain people, specifically boys,
Mm.
it's only something that those kinds of people can experience.
Yeah.
Just to
Yeah.
have that being said, like in front of me, wow. It was I would say it's a humbling experience,
It's
but
problematic.
Yeah, it's very problematic. I was uncomfortably laughing just to make sure that it wasn't awkward and then I wasn't disrespectful. Yeah, and that's another thing that girls are used to doing, uncomfortably laughing when something makes them uncomfortable.
Yeah, I've had a, I've heard like, I mean, it's not my story to say, but there were some instances of like teachers being in a meeting talking about really problematic things, and it just comes to light na we the faculty isn't as progressive as I thought it was, even though we have really nice teachers who are open minded and are progressive, but others might not have the best luck with it. And that leads me to thinking that, you know, being a progressive person has like so many positives, but how about being a conservative person, like like conservative idea thinking? How do you think that benefits someone? JC?
I'm not sure about benefiting, something about that. But if we put the context of conservatism in the situation of Ateneo, I think it's that thing that gives Ateneans such bad entitlement. Like when I entered Ateneo Senior High School, the two words that I was called homegrown Atenean. Did we really need the word homegrown? And it only implied that we were in Ateneo longer than the rest of the students were. And I remember maybe in the first semester of college, my blockmates were asking me, "Oh, are you a homegrown Atenean?" And I was like, "I actually prefer that you don't call me a homegrown Atenean, and I don't like the term because homegrown Atenean means that I was here in high school, right? And some people would refer people who got inside Ateneo since kindergarten as true blue people. I don't like those terms. Kasi what? Does that make me more Atenean than you? Does true blue people more Atenean than you? We earned our spot here in the College of Ateneo, and
Yeah.
we are all equally Ateneans. So, yeah, there's that immense amount of entitlement that I don't like with the conservative people that came out of Ateneo. So, yeah, I guess that's one thing I have to say.
Yeah, Bea.
I remember one of our friends, um, after graduating college, I joked around to him. I told him, "Oh, so can I call myself a homegrown now?" Because that's something that's a term that was never really given to us transferees. And I
Mhm.
feel like being excluded from being called that term, we kind of wanted to earn it
Yeah,
subconsciously.
Yeah.
So when I asked him, "Can I
I
be
just
called a
realized that.
homegrown now?" He told me, "Bea, I don't think you want to be associated with that term." And it made me think a lot. Yeah, what does
Yes.
being homegrown mean? It means, I
I think
think, a lot of the things that I didn't like in the first few months of school.
hmm
I think it resembles the toxic past. No, not the toxic past. The toxic part of it, being homegrown. Because I didn't realize it at first. That like now, do I realize that being called the homegrown has some kind of like you separating yourself from other
yeah,
Athenians.
it's a sign of exclusivity.
Yeah, but I didn't know. I didn't recognize my quote unquote privilege. Not, I don't think it's privilege, but I don't know another word. But yeah, it's a big thing to take in right now that I didn't realize that being branded a transferee versus a homegrown Athenian is being treated differently. Like, oh, if you're a homegrown Athenian, you're supposed to know this now, and if you're a transferee, you're still learning. We're all in a new building and a new environment and a new curriculum. So why don't you treat us all the same? And oh, I don't know. It was a big thing to swallow. That's what she said. Sorry.
Oh God.
Oh God.
Oh
Okay,
no.
that's not the discussion for
Oh no.
today.
Oh my God. Sorry. Pride and slip. Sorry. But
Freudian slip.
Freudian slip. But yeah, it was a big thing to take in for me right now because like while JC was talking about it, made me feel really bad na for talking about like you're a transferee like that because I wasn't trying to have any ill will. But what Bea pointed out na I don't think you want to be associated with that. I think that means like the past culture JC and I were part of where it was very misogynistic, very locker room talk, palakihan ng uh,
Sausage.
sausage, that stuff
Yeah.
is I think that's what he's referring to.
Yun nga, why take pride in such a term like, oh, homegrown Athenian? So what if you're homegrown? You've been here longer, and what about that? So what's up? Paano ganun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucked up.
Does it make you a man for others more than
Mm.
these people who just came
Yes,
in? I don't
exactly.
know. I don't think so.
We all
I
have the
think
same values.
I think they should remove like the term homegrown Athenian. You know, you all took the same test to get into senior high. So how different are you from anyone? Diba?
Well, would I say it's the same judge? It's the same.
Mm,
Okay, it's the same test, but then I guess
yes.
we had different
Standards.
cutoff points.
Oh really? I didn't know that
Yeah,
either.
yeah. I think how many of us transferees are in the whole batch? We're 800 people, and I think that's around
I
200 to
think
300.
200 to 300.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the passing
So
rate for transferees are so low. But for
yeah,
the
it is.
quote unquote homegrowns, I think 90% passing rate.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it was the same test, but still, of course, you guys were given a little more favor in that test.
That's true.
And I guess that adds to the whole entitlement factor.
Oh nga, no? Yeah, it's true.
But that also means that if you're a transferee and you got an Ateneo, it means you're one of the best who took the test. So I love how the transferees were doing so much better than the homegrowns in academics.
Yeah.
Like the Sangu people, most of them were transferees. Actually, people who brought progressive change in the high school were transferees. So, well, not all, but
Most.
major contributions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't understand why some people had to bring us down or put us down. I mean, we're all working together to make a better school.
I
So I
think
don't get the whole competition factor. Na, oh, just because you're transferee doesn't mean you can do all these things here.
it's related to like. Do you remember there was a case apparently that Lakambini is a committee for gender equality in senior high, and
Yes.
there was another group. They were called the Lakam Boys. They were like trying to
What?
battle them or something.
Is this your
But
batch?
no, I don't think so. But I think it's related to the fact that so it was. I think when senior high came in, the previously it was first year to fourth year high school, and when like K to 12 came in, the whole structure of it was just put away. So like coming into first year of Ateneo High School, I expected like 4 years of like brotherhood and stuff. And now that it's like different, I think some people, some guys feel bad na it got taken away from them, that kind of brotherhood. Or like the type of environment where they're flourishing and being toxic. Because it's a different it's a different environment where you have to be very open-minded. You have to understand that some things are problematic and you shouldn't do them, and some people might not be super open to that kind of environment where some things that they usually do back in the old high school might be called out for in the new high school. So that's why some people are like trying to do something to like have a semblance of that.
Mhm.
I guess the fear of all the change is valid. I can't really say that they shouldn't be feeling that way. I mean, I don't know how they feel. But then in terms of the brotherhood, I like to think that transferees coming in didn't really change the brotherhood. In fact, there are a lot of sections, there are a lot of groups within classes that are still together, different letters of boys who are still pretty tight as brothers, and some of them even getting more brothers from the transferees. And those brothers may be in the form of a man or a woman, anything. And I think
Boys.
I think that the the only problem there is they're starting to realize that a lot of the things that they thought were cool, a lot of the things that they thought were funny, were actually pretty problematic, as Bao said.
Yeah.
And I guess that just adds to the whole dangerous mix of the Atenean. It's okay to finally realize that your humor is problematic, that rape jokes are not supposed to be funny, but then to still keep doing those things despite knowing they're wrong, only because you're afraid that maybe if you stop doing that, I don't know, people will stop finding you funny. If you stop doing that, the brotherhood's gonna fall apart. Then I think this person or these people should start to question, what was the brotherhood made of?
Yeah.
What kind of values do you stand your friendship on? Do you stand it on objectifying women? If yes, then that's something they have to change. And if you're not willing to change that, then that's another problem that you have to fix. That's another problem that I think no other person should be the victim of. That's something that you have to go through on your own, and hopefully eventually remedy or change, or I don't know. I just think that at the end you should try to be a better person, but if you don't, then that's on you.
Okay, that's nice. um, what else is there to talk about?
Albay. We can talk about Albay.
Are you gonna cut that part?
No,
No.
no. Let's keep on going.
Oh, I don't know. I feel heavy right now.
Oh,
I,
it's
I
okay.
think no. It's good that you feel heavy because you know it's wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know that
yeah,
it's something that's hard to deal with.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
pero, okay, ganito, Bea. In the
yeah.
future, when you get kids, and maybe your husband would suggest that your boys would be sent to Ateneo to study, would you?
Okay, that's one thing you have to think about. You said when I have kids. Who said I
Oh,
am
sorry.
sure of
Sorry.
having
Oh,
kids?
We apologize.
yes.
Oh, hypothetically, if you have
Okay,
Yeah.
I know. If the person that I'm with wants these boys to go to Ateneo,
two real boys,
wow, wow. I guess since that's probably going to be around, I don't know,
10 years.
10 years into the future, let's see. Hopefully administration becomes more progressive. These boys get better.
Mhm.
So maybe I will still consider bringing them, like letting them go to Ateneo. But then if I don't see any good change happening in that administration
Pass.
in the future, then yeah, pass. I would bring them to a co-ed, honestly.
Mhm.
I don't see what the advantage of having an exclusive school is if if all it gives you, if all the extra package it gives you is toxic masculinity. And although I have to say that it's not completely the responsibility of the school to turn my boys into men. I mean, parents also have a lot of roles in educating their kids. But then
It's true.
the school and then the people that they're surrounded with, it also affects them. It also has a big part in their upbringing. So although I will do my best to be a progressive, cool mom, I also want them to be in a progressive, cool school.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What do you
What
think?
about you guys?
Oh, me? I mean, I have the same answer with you. Na, I have to see how Ateneo, if ever they change policy or do something about the problematic things that have happened before. Maybe. But, yeah. How about you, JC?
Hmm. If I'm gonna be honest, I would eh. Pero, but then, I mean, that would be my answer if I were asked a week ago, back when I didn't know, when I didn't realize how problematic the admin was and how the culture was. But then, I'm thinking that if ever that were to happen, it would be 30 years from now. And I'm really hoping that it would be a much more progressive time. But then, I don't know eh. Kasi at the same time, I like the values that Ateneo has instilled on its students. Like, men for others. I mean, maybe most of us or some of us don't take it seriously, but it's something that has shaped me into how I think today. And the Ignatian spirituality and that stuff. So I'm not really sure. I mean, it's not my decision din naman. I mean, if I'm to have kids, I would probably have a partner, right? So the person would have a say into it, and it's something to talk about deeply in the future.
Wait, because Ateneo was an established school like 1859. So I think the all boys culture was like around for what, 100 years?
150 plus.
So like if you want to be optimistic about it,
Oh,
it could be
no.
possible to destroy the established all boys thing in what, 10 years? It could be possible, but
Oh, that's
you're thinking in the
I don't think
Philippines.
so.
You're thinking in a
Oh,
very Catholic environment and in the Catholic school with very old, board of directors who are most
mm,
probably all men. So do you really think they'd be progressive? I
that's
mean,
true. I don't think
I
so.
think because on the other side, most of the Jesuits are progressive. They accept a few things that other alumni won't. So I think it's honestly a flip of a coin at this point because what it depends on how the Jesuit formate, because I think Ateneo is all about the Jesuits because Ateneo is the Jesuits. So I think it hinges on the Jesuits accepting the progressiveness or keeping it to a down low. In which
Yeah.
case, I don't think that should be right because if the past culture was problematic, then why keep it the same, right?
Yeah. I guess you're right. We can't say as early as now what's gonna happen, especially since administration might have a turnover in the next few years, and Father Jet is supposed to end his
Septa.
term right this year,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
then he got extended. So taking into account all the future turnovers of presidents, of principals, boards of directors, then it's more a game of chance right now.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, there have been like sobrang raming alumni na from the All Boys. So obviously they're gonna lobby to like have keep the Catholic ideals, to keep their
All
Jesuits
boys.
formation, All Boys na.
Yeah.
follow the Bible, that stuff. Na there should be no, you know. But look at college though, because we're thinking in
Yeah.
a high school sense. But when you see college and they're trying to be as inclusive as possible, we can see that I think college has like grown and is a more inclusive space for people of all genders, and with I think that's a good
Yeah.
direction.
Mm. I think college itself just shows that there's a possibility to keep the Jesuit formation at its core, to keep the values that the school would want to hold, but then also try to be as inclusive as possible to everyone and to adapt to change and not just keep things because they're tradition.
Yeah, good point.
You know,
Heavy
something that I like to tell people when they talk about these things and then they feel bad or they get hurt because they realize that they were bad people back then, when all the guilt just settles in to people, I just like to tell them that you're you have your favorite shirt, and then after 2 years you try to wear it and it doesn't fit anymore. Of course it's gonna hurt when you wear it. You can't breathe. The
Mhm.
sleeves are too tight. Your jellies are just going out, all that stuff. And it hurts. But it hurts because you've grown. So
great
I
analogy
guess it's okay for you to feel heavy about it, for you to feel bad, for you to feel guilty, for it to hurt.
because you're growing.
Because, yeah, that's a sign that you're growing. And even if the growth is slow, it's still growth, and it's better than not
No,
growing at all, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
heavy. I feel so heavy.
Are we still
Yeah,
gonna
but then
keep
at the
talking
same
about
time,
heavy things?
we really have to address
Yeah.
this culture, everything about it.
We're part of it. You know, that's not
Yeah,
the
and
fact.
It's actually nice that I'm able to talk to you guys about this.
No, it's nice that
Um,
we're able to talk about it.
yeah.
This is a
No,
good avenue as any to talk about these kinds of things.
honestly, I like to think that I'm luckier than most girls, even though, okay, maybe not lucky is the word, maybe less unlucky than the other
mm,
girls, because it's agreed that most of the boys, if not all the boys in the first class that I was in, actually even in my grade 12 class, the boys there were maybe not perfect gentlemen, but they were respectable, and it was obvious that they also respected us. I just hope I just hope that a lot of girls could say the same, but too bad that's not
it's
what
true.
happened to them.
I just hope the admin does something, you know, and they just I don't think they should just release a statement and
Yeah. And
not do
did you see the
anything.
statement that they released?
Yeah, that's the statement I'm referring to because they gave a really generic administrative.
Yeah.
We recognize this. We'll do something
Yeah.
about it.
It's the same
Show it.
thing over and over. They release a statement, but they don't really do any concrete action.
Mm,
How do you make a school a safe space when the thing that's not making it safe is still there?
mm. Well, it's
What?
the boys.
I mean, I think there's still I think some kind of threat to the girls somewhat because you can see the ratios. There's in some of the strands, for example, the ratios of the boys to the girls is like very um topsy turvy or whatever. So
Really unequal.
unequal, sorry. And I think that's a factor because would you feel comfortable in a room like for example, because you're 14 in a class and you're only five girls, would you feel comfortable in that situation? It's your first day of
Mhm.
school, and would you honestly feel comfortable there?
Hmm, I guess for me,
First day, first day.
first day, yeah, I would say first day it was kind of a culture shock
Yeah,
because I saw that you boys were not only a lot in number but also a lot in terms of attitude.
yeah.
You boys are wild. You boys are
Yes.
loud,
Loud.
and you guys were like that even if you were in the presence of girls who you were just meeting for the first time. And I don't think I saw it as a threat. I don't think I saw it as anything that made me uncomfortable. For me, it was mostly culture shock. It was just me getting surprised. Like, wow, I thought these boys
Overwhelming.
were privileged rich kids
Uh,
who will, who will, I don't know, who will sit down and not shout at each other on the first day of school. But
Yes.
yeah, you guys showed me that I was wrong. And for me, it wasn't anything that made me too uncomfortable. But then, I mean, I came from a background where I was close with girls, I was close with boys, but then I seem to have more guy friends than girls. I don't know why. So I guess it wasn't too much for me because I was kind of used to being in the presence of men.
no, but like thinking from not your perspective, or but from someone coming from, like for example, you came from MC and now
Okay.
you're in a class of 35 boys and five girls. And how would you feel,
Okay.
right? Because
Yeah.
yeah, DC.
Well, it's still really. Oh, wait, the problem still really lies within the boys themselves and the way they think.
Yeah,
And actually, I just want to share, like one of my classmates, he mentioned an anecdote na, and I remember it too. We only had the lesson about gentlemanliness once in my whole stay in junior high school, and it was a talk because we were gonna have a dance night. It
is this
was
grade
just
10?
that. I think so, yeah. Yung like how you
Yeah,
treat women and how to be a gentleman.
Wow.
It was just one session, just one talk. I think it
One
really
session.
realized then on how the institution curbs its boys then as they grow up. Like if they, I mean, maybe if Ateneo tried to teach the boys how to be gentlemen in the first place, I think it would help. Would it? Would
yeah,
it?
it was.
Yeah. And I feel like it's because the institution itself was, I mean, I feel like it's because the institution itself kind of treats respect or treating women with respect as a sort of bonus instead of a bare minimum,
Yes.
considering that you guys
Yes.
had special classes on how to be gentlemen. That's bare minimum.
Like it's weird how we have to sit and we have to be
Right.
taught how to be gentle.
When it's supposed
Yeah,
to be something that's ingrained to what's taught to us every day in the classrooms.
I have
yeah.
a feeling, like I'm thinking from their perspective now, maybe there are some really antisocial boys who don't know how to act
Oh, yeah.
outside, but
Maybe that's correct.
I think they should have been more transparent about why they were doing it. Because
Mm.
parang slap in the face na we're trying to grow and be gentlemen. Then you're just gonna give us a talk. But I get that they're trying to help us. It's a very windy topic. Yeah.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, that's you have a point naman.
So let's talk about something else this time. Do you guys want to talk about something else?
You said Albay, right?
Yeah, I think we should talk. I miss Albay,
I
Yeah.
bet
honestly.
Albay misses you too.
I remember it being hot.
Oh no,
It was November.
it was hot, but then it wasn't searing summer. Just
Yeah.
typical Philippines hot, you know.
Because it was November.
I guess.
Oh God, in that trip, I remember how kami ni Nicolas, we wanted to stay more in your room with Nadia's than our room. Kasi sobrang bango ng room niyo. And when we go to our
Yeah.
room, sobrang baho. Tapos yung
Ang, ang
we
malalaki.
don't know how, but the tiles of the washroom were black. It was white, but it was black in the end.
Yeah, I remember this one night that all of you guys just went to our room and then you were on the bed, you were everywhere. It was fun.
For those who are listening, me and JC went to Bea's province Albay to because she had a debut. It was a pretty fun trip. Anyways,
Yes.
it was there was one moment like where I felt really happy in Albay, and it was like the van ride on the way to the beach. It was fun because I was like in the van with everyone, and it was like I was surrounded by people who I trusted, who I nurtured, I cherished, and I felt wholesome love. It was cool, even though like going back because I was pretty big, I was pretty like everyone
Yeah.
called me Choco Butternuts.
Sandy.
Choco butternut.
Because I look like a
Champurrado. We called you Champurrado.
chaparrado. Right. So it was really big. But yeah, it was a fun trip all in all.
It
Yeah.
was. Although in the beach ride, I was in another car.
Oh no.
Sad.
Oh sad.
Yeah.
Wait, who are you with? Who are you with? Sinalinos?
I actually don't remember. I think I was with Deward. Were you
Uh,
guys with Deward? I think I was
no,
with
no.
Deward
We were with Gabe
and Drew.
Nicolas. I think it was a different
And
car. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
also I think Carl was there.
Yeah. I think that. Do you guys remember the ATV? The most fun.
That was
Yes.
fun. You know, every time I pass by there, I just remember when Matt and I
It
when our
collided.
ATV no, it didn't collide. It didn't
You
even hit with
fell, right?
anyone. It just it yeah, it fell. It like turned over on its side, and
Ow!
there was this big ass gutter at the side.
Oh, God.
Good thing it was a slow turn. It was a slow fall. So Matt and I were able to get off the ATV before we fell to our almost death.
Oh my God.
It was fun. My mom got kind of mad at me because I think I got
Bruce?
a, yeah, I got,
Sugat din eh.
yeah, I got a cut I got a
I
scratch on my
prefer her debut.
shin. And yeah, my mom was like, "Oh, you're gonna show people your legs, and then they're gonna see that." Honestly, I didn't care. I think of it
Yeah.
as my battle scar.
Battle Scar.
Yes.
It was fun. You remember, how about the climb? You remember we climbed to like the
Yeah.
viewing part of
Yeah,
Mount
from Mayon.
Mayon? Yeah.
The best feeling I got from that
You
trip
know,
was climbing that helicopter pad. Then when
Yeah,
we
the
got there, we just
helicopter
peed.
pad.
I have the
Yeah.
Yes.
rock from the helicopter pad.
I can't believe you still have
Yeah,
that.
it's so
Wow.
weird. It looks very rocky. But yeah, I
Yeah.
still have it. So the trip means a lot to me because it was
Uh,
a fun. Thank you.
so yes, these boys, they stood at the edge of the helicopter pad and they all peed.
Yeah.
We peed.
There
Of
was
course, we
another
said
time,
tabi-tabi po.
of
So,
course. There
And we
was
made
another
sure no
time
one
that
was
you guys
looking.
peed.
We made sure no one was looking in the helicopter pad. And we peed away
Yeah.
from Mount Mayon. You don't
Yeah.
pee in front of me, you pee away.
Yeah. And
Oh,
of course the girls, they didn't want to look.
yes.
Like they were just turned around and then the girls also looked away. And then after a few seconds, we just heard water hitting the rock. So we knew what was up. Oh my gosh.
I thought it was gonna rain,
Synchronized
but
pa eh.
Oh Lord.
it was a fun trip.
So as I was saying, you guys peed in another part of the trip,
Oh, I think it was
The
or was it just?
highway, at the side of the highway.
Yeah, it was a high. It was
it was
on
a
the side of
highway.
the highway.
Yeah, I think someone took a pic. 'Cause it was just four of us. And we're like, there was a gap. We were social distancing. There's a gap in between because it's a cool view because we all simultaneously pee. Again,
Mm-hmm.
again,
Ah,
it was a very we didn't pee illegally. It was in front of
yes.
a rice field and we fertilized.
Damn. I wonder whose mouth those rice are in now.
Yes.
Is there plural for rice?
Rose.
Ro-
Rices, rice, rose,
rice plural.
rice,
It's just rice. Okay.
Yeah.
grains of rice.
Actually.
I think you put like a collective noun at the start.
Okay, so I think if JC, what do you think about when you hear about Bea Chan? Like, what's the first thing that
Bea
comes up to mind?
Chan.
Yeah.
She's the girl that when she raises her hand in the recitation, it's time for me to sleep. Because it takes her so long to answer like a whole paragraph. Yeah, she's that girl.
I'm
She has a lot of
sorry.
words.
Oh, for me, whenever I hear Bea Chan, I think about like she's the one who goes to the board and writes a really long math equation or solves it and is like, "Oh, you get bonus points. Congrats, because you're a smart person." So, right, we all think Bea's sometimes long winding replies to questions from the teacher or being really smart. How do you balance your social life with your academic life since we all know you achieve so much?
Yes.
You know, I thought when you guys were going to talk about me, I would hear things that I liked, but now I just want to hit both of you.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know how I manage to do it all. I guess my planner is very important, and just making sure that you're on with your tasks and learning to prioritize. And prioritize also means knowing where you fit into the whole equation,
Yeah.
knowing how to prioritize yourself. And that's something that I've been learning recently, that it's it's okay to do things that matter to you. It's okay to do things that have purpose, have meaning, or follow a certain advocacy that you're trying to work for. But then at the same time, it's also okay to just do things because they make you happy, even if they're not really meaningful, or even if they don't work towards an advocacy, even if they're not org work. But if it makes
Yeah.
you happy, then you can
Do you feel
still go for it.
anxious whenever like there's nothing in your schedule? Like, do you feel like there should always be something in your schedule, and if there's not, you feel anxious because you could be doing something with your time, but you're not?
Oh yeah, I felt that a lot. I guess in the first year of college, it was always there. The feeling was always there, but I never really looked into it. I felt like it was something normal for me. It was something natural
Yeah.
because I loved working. But then when the quarantine hit and a lot of the work just stopped and a lot of the studying stopped, and I realized I was getting anxiety from not having a good checklist, from not doing things, from not working. That's when I started to realize that it was getting bad,
Yeah.
that it's something, it's a big problem for people like me. So, as much as I want to say that I don't get anxious when I don't do anything, it's hard. It's hard to be chill. It's hard to be in the moment because you have other moments that you want to be in.
So what drives you is like trying to fill up your schedule more so than accomplishing a task, or would you say that um, you'd rather fill up your schedule rather than not doing anything at all in a given day?
I feel like it's more of me wanting to do things that I want to do. And so my schedule gets filled up. And that's a problem because I get bored easily with things. So I could say that I want to do this now, but then after a while, I'm going to want to do something else or something extra. And that's how the work piles up. Yeah.
Yeah. Lastly, do you have a question for Bea JC?
Oh yes. So that's a nice the last thing you said. That's nice and something to think about really. So, but then I think we have come to the end of this podcast, and it's tradition for each end that we relate the things we've talked about to a breakfast burrito. Because yes, me and Bao, as as it says in our YouTube channel, we don't really know what a breakfast burrito tastes like.
We don't.
So yeah,
Why
how
have you
would you
never
relate?
tried making one?
Ang tamad.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
And it's part of our personality now.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's such a weird
Okay,
personality
so
trait to
I'll
have.
start. I think Bea should go next after me.
Okay.
So, you can copy what I do. So, like, we talked about, what did we talk about? We talked about current issues. You know, they're heavy, like how breakfast burritos can sometimes be heavy. That's all I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
My turn.
Yeah.
We also talked about Albay and the moments that make us happy. And just like a breakfast burrito, it makes us happy. A breakfast burrito makes us happy.
It's true. JC,
Lastly,
we talked
I
about
don't
this.
know breakfast burrito. So well, oh yeah. At first, we talked about boyfriends. Yeah. Then honestly, I want a boyfriend who can make me a breakfast burrito. I guess that's
Same.
it.
I do too.
Me too.
So
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, like Bao said, we're too tamad to make it ourselves.
So,
So
and
yeah, bro.
when
I need
someone makes
it.
it for us, it's filled with
Yeah.
love.
And
But
happiness.
yeah,
And it's heavy. Mm.
okay,
Also has
JC.
to be filled with respect.
Yes.
First and foremost.
Yes. I want that. I want a breakfast burrito being made for me.
Yeah. Also, it's also a tradition that kasi usually we believe at this point wala nang nakikinig. It's too long. But then if there's someone out there who's still listening right now, just please comment
Wait,
Albay.
I'll buy. I like I'll buy.
Yeah, Albay. And
Okay,
if you comment Albay, you have a special gift from us. Hey,
What's a special gift?
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
A hug maybe.
Only one person has ever commented. Ano ginawa mo kay Sir Apple?
Oh, Sir Apple. No, I know. I might give him a lock of my hair next time. I don't know. We'll see.
Nice.
Oh, Sir Apple
Yeah,
Yeah,
supports you
he
guys.
listened
That's
to the whole thing.
adorable.
That's
That's
weird.
adorable.
yeah, it's good. But honestly, before we end the podcast, I just wanna like give a brief ender because I really think we should support all those who are speaking up about their experiences,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I really hope that you know you reach out for help, and if you can, there are avenues for you to express what you feel, and I hope that you don't feel alone because there are many others who are experiencing the thing, and we're here for you. Everyone's there for you. There are many people who want to help and who are actively trying to stop people who are doing those bad things. So yeah, Bea, do you have anything to say before we go?
I guess for those who wanna change, for those who realize that they've been bad people, it's never too late to apologize to those who you've hurt, or even to those who you might have hurt, but then you're not so sure. It's never too late to be brand new. That's a Taylor Swift lyric that I want to share with all of you guys.
Yes.
Before we end, do you have any shout outs? Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Shout outs? I didn't know I could do shout outs.
Yeah, you
Okay.
could.
Yeah.
I guess I would just like to because this person shouted me out in the Mobile Legends live stream. So yes, shout out to Ago Bugtong, my number one fan.
Woo.
And um I guess right now, support Albay leaders for the marginalized sectors by donating. Support Kalinga by donating.
Yeah.
And shout out to my mom. I love you, ma. Nandito na ako, ma. Kasi TV na ako,
Yes,
ma.
Tita Pinky, miss you.
Ita Pinky.
Yeah. And
Anyways, I'll
yes,
go. Sorry.
that's it.
You sure? Okay. I think you should end, JC.
Okay, that's the Haps Paps. See you next time.
See you next time. Bye.
See you next time.